Nakamura-Rd.2 Tashkent 2014, one of the preliminary tournaments leading up to the candidates final for the World Championship Challenger. It's in a series, a FIDE Grand Prix series. A lot of great players in here, but especially for me is my buddy Carl Nakamura is in it, and I hope Carl does well. Anyway, folks, FIDE Grand Prix Series, Tashkent 2014. Games coming up. Hi, folks. John Cordisco here. Here we are, round 2 of FIDE Grand Prix tournament. It's a leg in the series of tournaments leading up to the World Championship. This is in Tashkent. This is October 2014. It's between Andreikin from Russia, former Russian champion, nothing to sneeze at, rated over 2,700, and my buddy from the United States, now number 8 in the world, Carl Nakamura, rated 2,764. It's going to be real low pay. Andreikin is white, Nakamura is black. Let's go through a little bit here. We've all kind of seen this a million times. Pawn, bishop, the bishop, a4, rook b8. Something I don't play much. I'm trying to get away from e4 as white, but instead of rook to b8, b4 is interesting. Because after knight takes, d4, the bishop takes, queen takes. That's an interesting position to say the least. Very strange indeed, but nonetheless, more than playable. Rook to b8, a takes, a takes. Those of you who were wondering if rook took instead, after knight to c3, rook takes, c takes, and black's already lost. After a takes, d4, bishop takes, queen takes. Kind of what we had before, but a little bit different twist. White's got the open A file. Not sure what he can do with it right now, but and it looks like either here bishop moves or bishop just moves here. Black should be okay after he castles. d6 and f4. Now I kind of like that for white for a couple of reasons. One is it goes after the center, and two is this diagonal here with the king. Black doesn't have a dark squared bishop, so white doesn't really have to worry about that nonsense. Knight to c6, hitting the queen. Queen goes to c3. Knight to e7. I mean, where else is he going to put the knight? Is he going to protect him with a bishop? Rook to a7. Going after right after this pawn immediately. c5, of course, stopping that. Like I always say, my favorite thing here, your way. What to do, what to do. It's a half-point advantage right now for white, but I kind of like black's position. He's a lot better developed. Granted, the bishop's still on c8. That's not that big of a deal. He can get out of it. Andreikin goes e5. Goes right after the center. Knight to e4 is the computer suggestion. And then knight on f to d5, and that's what Akaro does. Hits the queen. Now he traded. Now they got opposite colored bishops, but white doesn't have the bishop pair anymore. Queen f3. Hitting the queen, or excuse me, queen hitting the knight. Interesting might have been queen to a3. Then after b4, queen to a2. Pawn takes, rook d1. And that's a lot messier, I'll tell you. A lot messier. Queen to f3. Queen to b6, hitting the rook. Now, interesting, rook to a1 is computer suggestion, and that's way too passive. Andreikin plays rook takes f7. King takes, queen takes. That's a knight and a pawn for a rook. And it's a tiny advantage now for black. I think Andreikin was going for it. But the problem is with him, both his minor pieces are still sitting on the B and C square. I think that's three-quarters of his problem. Granted, Nakamura still has his bishop on c8, but I mean, Queen's fighting all those pieces for white. Bishop e6. Carl gets another tempo. Queen to d1. Now the queen's back on the original square. It shows even on the computer, but I like black here. Bishop f5. Queen checks. Bishop e6, queen to d1, f5. You see what's going to happen here. And then queen to d1. And they drew. I thought it was a pretty good game. I thought maybe a Carl could have played a little bit farther. But that was his choice to make. Andreikin's one of the lower rated players. Yeah, he's rated 27-22 and he's one of the lower rated players. Anyway, that was a decision they made on move 24. Obviously, there isn't a 30 move draw rule in this tournament. So that's round 2 for my buddy Carl Nakamura from the United States. Drew. He has 1.5 points now out of 2. And I want you all to remember, if you think chess is just a game, you're not playing it right. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.